So, why might you not be hearing from your guides? Today, I'm going to share a little bit of an intuitive message that I received in a meditation about why we might not hear from our guides or understand what they're trying to tell us. Stay tuned if you're ready. Welcome back. So, if you are just finding me, my name is Angie, and I'm an intuitive life coach, and I bring intuitive messages that I receive in my spirit from my highest self, from my guides, from the universe, whoever wants to come through. And I share these truths with the world to help them to reconnect with their highest self and learn how to live their life aligned with their passion, purpose, and hopefully to deprogram the ego so that they can no longer feel stuck in life. One of the things that I find really interesting about spiritual growth or becoming your highest self is we focus a lot on meditation and trying to connect with guides. Anybody that has been on a journey for a while and that have had contact with their guides may understand this truth a little bit more than others. But I found it really interesting on my journey as I have been growing and learning a lot about spiritual truths, my spiritual guides, and possible loved ones who have passed on to the other side as well, who come through often, what it's like for them and how they communicate with us. I found it really interesting that when I first started communicating with my guides and I met them, that the energy and the frequency was much higher in their energy than in mine. And the very first truth that they ever taught me, which I will encourage you to grab my book, Composting the Ego, right here, because I share this story in that book. The first thing they taught me was that my energy was not high enough. My frequency was not at a place where I could communicate with them or I could hear what they were trying to tell me. So I had to increase my energy to connect with them. And the interesting thing is I didn't know what that meant at the time. However, somehow I was able to do it. And from that point on, for quite a while, I had a pretty deep connection with my guides. They showed up many times, told me lots of truths, gave me some amazing teachings. Both of these books back here have intuitive messages that my guides gave me. So I encourage you to grab both or either. They're both on Amazon or online, anywhere that you can find them. But one of the things that I found interesting as I grew in my spiritual understanding and my connection, and I increased my frequency, is that I felt like they pulled away in some way. And it really became frustrating for me when I felt like I couldn't get through, when I was no longer getting messages like I was, when I wasn't really connecting the way that I had, because I became very reliant on being able to have this connection with my guides. And when I didn't feel their presence anymore, it became very frustrating. It almost felt like maybe I was doing something wrong, or maybe I had made it up in my head in some way, or possibly that they had left me. And I became kind of stagnant in my spiritual growth at that time because I wasn't really sure what to do or how to get through that period. I ended up contacting a psychic medium and I did a session, a training session actually with her on uh, enhancing my spiritual giftings and my psychic mediumship and my abilities to connect with spirits. And I asked her the question, why does this happen? And it was such a good response. And this is something my guides have confirmed to me since that communication happened. Just like any relationship that we have, there's going to be ebbs and flows. on earth, we have relationships with people where we're really close with them sometimes, and then we pull away. And what is interesting about this, if you look at it from a spiritual standpoint or from a growth perception, when we're out of alignment with energy, it's hard to communicate. It's hard to understand each other. You may be talking at a frequency up here, somebody else may be talking at one just a couple lower, but you are missing each other's communication in that because you're not on the same level. And this happens a lot when you go through a deconstruction and you leave behind some of the old beliefs and you start to grow and enhance your energy and frequency and you come into new truths. Those who have not gone through the deconstruction or understand what you're saying or have been taught something about what you're saying can become kind of what happens is the ego kind of flares up. And that flaring up is actually fear. It's fear of the ego being wrong. It's fear that the ego may be challenged in some way. And so what happens is the ego begins to fight against this so that it can try to keep you safe. Because if what you believe isn't true, then what else is on your life that's not true? Or if it is true, but it's not the complete truth, then how do you find that out? So we're constantly growing and learning. So if one person is at one stage in their life and another is at a different, and you're trying to communicate on completely different levels, then it makes it really hard for that relationship to be equal or aligned. And what's interesting is that this actually is spoken in the Bible about being unequally yoked. Because when one person is in one frequency and another is in a different one, there's not really any way to have an equal yoke in that relationship. And this doesn't just go for romantic, it comes in friendships, family relationships, all that. So what needs to happen is it depends on the journey of that person. And I think this is where it gets hard, is because everybody has their own journey. They all have their own reason for coming into the earth, into their human body and self, and experiencing the earth energy, the lower vibrations of the universe. And their spirit is here to learn a lesson that they chose to learn. And if we put our judgment on another human, or we believe that they need to be a certain space or a certain level because we have achieved it or we are in this level, then we're actually putting our ego's judgment on where they are, because they are where they need to be. However, there is something in a person, their spirit is always going to be trying to pull them higher. It's just that deprogramming of the ego needs to happen in order to get to that. So pulling this all into our relationship with our spirit guides, or any spirits that you may have contact with that guide and teach you and help you on your journey, this is going to happen with that too. We are constantly growing and we're constantly changing in frequency when we are working towards growth, when we are allowing our spirit to guide us and to move us forward. And if we stayed the same at the same frequency, we would never grow. And our guides know this. And so there will be moments when they will pull away a little bit to allow us to sit in that energy for a while, in our ego's programming, to help reveal more areas of our lives, of our mind, our ego, our programming that need to be released so that we can move to the next level that we are meant to be in. But if we don't allow that, if we don't understand that is happening, then we could stay stuck where we are and have no idea, and then maybe make up reasons for why we heard something or why this isn't happening. And I think this actually probably, I'm hearing in my spirit actually right now from my guides, that this happens when somebody may, I'm thinking about examples of people who have left a certain dogma, a religion, or a teaching and went into spirituality in a different way, maybe learning tarot, maybe believing or having intuitive gifts like psychic medium or things like that. And they go on this path for a while where they start to understand these things, but then their guides and their frequency, gets to a point, their guides pull away with the attempt to help them grow, but they don't. And so it gets really confusing and really hard because they're not doing the inner work of deprogramming the ego where that really deep healing needs to happen. And that's why there are like for myself as an intuitive life coach and healer, I help people to get through those blocks that may come up for us, because if we do get stuck in that, that's when you will hear the messages of people that come back and say, I got caught up in this and this was demonic, or they'll have these labels of darkness on the spirituality aspect of enhancing your frequency, growing, and they'll come back into the dogma because it feels safe for their ego to be there instead of continuing to rise in their frequency. So as our guides pull back a little bit to allow us to grow, there may be times that it can feel really hard in this. And this is, I encourage reaching out to a spiritual teacher or a healer that can help you get through these if you are feeling stuck with it, because I know for myself that it helped to have a perspective outside of myself or someone that was intuitive to look into my energy to see what areas needed to be healed or were blocked at that time. And there have been other times where I have felt stagnant or not disconnected from my higher self and from my guides. And I didn't really understand the truth of the ebb and flow of pull back and then us enhance, and then we can reconnect and then pull back and us enhance. And we're constantly, so our guides know what level we want to come to in our human life, where our spirit wants to go, and the purpose of this lifetime and the lesson that we came to learn. And so they will continue to do this until we meet that frequency level that our spirit agreed to come down and learn. And this may be one or two times, this may be several times that we keep going through this ebb and flow where they pull back, we increase, they pull back, we increase. And this goes, again, my guides are telling me, and this is a teaching that Jesus taught about I must decrease and God must increase. So the I am in us must continue to increase and our ego must continue to decrease. And this is how we grow spiritually and reconnect with our highest self. And the interesting thing is our guides are, because the energy of the spirit and the universe and God and everything is the energy of love, it's the energy of flow, it's the energy of just being. There's no like becoming in the energy in this spirit, like you are. And then you go and like experience things like on earth, or you may choose to be in another planet, or all these things. And I'm not going to get into that, that's like a whole nother teaching. But we actually choose to be in lower energy so our spirit can enhance and grow. And we're our little, if you go back and watch my the illusion of competition episode, you will learn that your little dot has an important frequency within the earth or within the universe that helps expand. So within the darkness, light expands. You cannot see light without dark. And so we come to experience that. Now, how do you do it? How do you increase your frequency, and how do you come into this next level? It's simply by recognizing it. It's simply by understanding that this is what's happening. And then you can begin to hear areas of your life that need to be deconstructed or reprogrammed or deprogrammed, whatever that is that your guides are trying to teach you. But they're not going to force themselves onto you, because they understand that it is part of what you need to go through to learn that lesson. And once you get to the place where you can, it's not that you have to completely raise your frequency to hear them in that moment, but having the awareness of it will help you get to that point. And when you do, that flow will come back again, where you can have that communication with them, and they can guide you again and help you understand what needs to be healed or released. So I share this because many people have been on an awakening for a while, deconstructing, going through all kinds of healing work, and I think that there may be times that it can get frustrating on this journey because of this reason. You simply don't understand what's happening. And so I wanted to share this message that I received from my guides, and help maybe reveal a little bit for you to understand maybe what's happening. If you are wanting help, you are more than welcome to reach out to me. You can get on my website, www.leaflessons.org, just like Leaf Lessons right here, this book. And you can book a free 30-minute intuitive session with me. And if you really want to dive in and do really, really deep work, I do offer healing work. I'm starting a program, a new one, that is called the Intuitive Alchemy, deconstructing the ego. And so I'm going to teach a lot of these truths in that program. It's a 3-month program, and it can help you come into these truths and maybe increase your ability to intuitively know things, or get to know your guides, or even understand what your spiritual gift is that you're supposed to share with the world. Or if you're feeling stuck in that and you already know it, then to continue that process. So if that is you, you're welcome to reach out. If it's not, I hope that this teaching helped you. And as I continue to hear more intuitive messages, I will share them with you. I wish you all the best day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you. I send all the universal love that there is. Namaste.